about
Absolutely.
and yeah,
Yeah.
what it was that drove you to get this going.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this idea actually sprung up about 2 years ago. And honestly, what had happened was we were thinking about different ways that the sports bar could reach a wider, broader audience just outside of, the four walls of a bar. And because we feel like there's just so many women's sports stories and non-binary stories out there to tell. And so we were just thinking, brainstorming some ideas. And I was talking with one of our business advisors and actually one of the first people to donate to our Kickstarter campaign before we even opened the doors to the sports bra. And so Kate Delhagen, my business advisor, she was just like, how about a film festival? And I thought, oh my gosh, that is it. That's genius. And so this was a couple years ago, and I started to look into it, and then obviously I was also thinking about franchising, and so we just went full court press on franchising, and this idea of a film festival kind of just sat on the back burner. Anyway, while I was doing that, I had started to make some friends in the community and just a ton of folks coming out of the woodworks around women's sports. And that's when I met Molly King of Q Doc and her wife Deb, and just admired all of the work that they've done with Q Doc. And then Kamiko and I had been friends, and then just watching and her grow her business and her connections around community and just how vibrant she is around everything to do with culture, the arts, sports, entertainment, and the city of Portland. And so I just kind of like slowly just did this like, hey, what do you guys think about like an international film festival about women's sports? And at the time, it just felt so far fetched and like a crazy idea, which it feels like there are a lot of crazy ideas that circle around this sphere. Um, and they were just like, absolutely count us in. Like, that is totally possible. This is the perfect thing for Portland. This is, and there was just so much alignment. And that's kind of when, about this time last year, all of us got in a room and just put pen to paper and really started to hammer down the just ideas around it. And then it was just like everything going after that.
And they just all come together. It's like you assembled a super group slowly, to like come together and create this film festival.
That
And
is exactly what it is. There's like 35, 40 people in the background making this happen.
I mean, yeah, I can only imagine, because that is a lot of work to put on something like this. And, from the outside perspective, everybody's going to get to come to enjoy it. But I'm sure it's many, many, many hours. And as you mentioned, a lot of people coming together for that. And I would think one of the biggest things, is finding those films and then deciding which films get to be a part of this. So how did that selection process work?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, Molly, in all of her years of experience, she was really, we had talked about it. We roundtabled a lot of things. And one of the things was like, do we make this a submission based where we field, we open it up to the world and we field and watch everything. And she was just like, we can either do it that way or we can curate it and make it, and so we just went back and forth, back and forth. And what we decided was that we wanted to keep the International Women's Sports Film Festival nice and tight for year one. We were just gonna like get it nice and tight, get it off the ground, and really let this be the launching point for it. And so it felt as if curating the films would be the best way. And so Molly actually, with all of her expertise and all of her connections and her networks globally, she just had this great outreach and connection of people who could like connect her with other folks, directors, producers, filmmakers around just incredible stories. And Molly spent 6 months putting together what we believe is an incredible run of show of short films, long form docs, and just there's when it comes to women and sports, there are so many stories and things to talk about, issues, just empowerment, things that just matter so much to the community globally, that there's just a plethora. And we were like, okay, it's year one, we've got time, so this is just a starting point. And as soon as the word got out, we fielded short and long form docs until like last week, when people were just like so excited that we were doing this, and we're just like, let's start making the list for 2027.
I mean, yeah, talking about the excitement for that, is this the first time there has been anything like this?
Yes, I mean, there has been a women's sports film festival in the past around the United States. I believe it lasted a couple years, but then kind of, I don't know what happened. It might have fizzled out during the pandemic, possibly. But this would be the first time an international women's sports film festival has ever been launched. And, we love to stress that it is international. There's going to be a lot of stories from across the globe, both large and like small production. And we're really excited, and we really believe that some of these films may not ever see the big screen if it wasn't for us putting it out there. And what we're hoping is that as we bring attention to these stories and others, more and more will come out, and that, they get the representation and visibility that they deserve.
And there's obviously such an audience for this that's hungry for this type of thing as well, for that opportunity to see some of these stories, that they may not be able to see anywhere else, because if they're not streaming somewhere, if they're
Absolutely.
not online, you may never get a chance to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to that extent, for the audiences that are going to be coming for this, which is a lot of people, what are some of those stories that they're going to get to see as part of this festival?
Absolutely. Yeah. So tonight's opening event is completely sold out. In fact, we opened it up to standing room only, and that is also sold out. We have extra waiting lists. There's a separate room that it's going to get streamed into. So the excitement is real. So tonight is going to be a really exciting launching off point for us. And this film is going to be about Billie Jean King, and we have, as part of the paneling guests, we have her partner's doubles partner who flew into town and who will be speaking on a panel. So we're really excited for that. And so big stories like Billie Jean King. We have the Brittany Griner story that we're showing, all the way to like the Championesses, to the Reggae Girls, the Jamaican team, and to an Afghan girls soccer team. All of these stories, to like a woman who had a limb bit off by a shark. So like everything, there's a story around IVF. Like I said, when it comes to women and sports, or even just women, there are a multitude of stories to tell there. And I think Molly just curated the most perfect combination of these films to represent kind of the launching point for IWSFF.
I mean, even just what you just ran through there, the little hook that you had for each one, I'm like, okay, I want to know that story. I want to find out what happened there. I mean, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, fascinating. Well, for people who are going to come out and experience this, they're going to see these stories. What's the experience that you want them to walk away with from this very first one?
I mean, ultimately, that it matters. Like it's the kind of the same thing that I wanted when I opened the sports bra, was to, when you create a space that hadn't existed before, it shows the world that it matters when the people walk in, how they interact with the film, how they interact with others. Just the visibility piece. So for me, it's just showing the world that people show up for this, not only the world, but Portland. Again, we talk about the epicenter of women's sports, and we truly believe that this couldn't have happened at a better time. Not only is there so much content and storytelling around women's sports happening, but there has been stories and content around women's sports, and those stories have not had the chance to shine. And so we like to reach back and tell those stories as well. So for me, it's all about community. It reminds me of kind of that energy around opening the sports bra. We don't know what to expect, other than that we want to put all of this in the best light as possible, give them the kudos and the flowers that they've always deserved, and then invite the community to come in and join us on this incredible adventure of sharing and stories. And, like, we hadn't even talked about the panel discussions or the talkbacks or the live podcast that will be recorded in front of the live audience, like all of this stuff to engage the community. And like you said, some of these films you can find on streaming services, but it's a very different experience, just like music and a live concert or a basketball game. It's very different experience to do it in community than to do it alone. And so that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to bring everybody in.
I could not agree more. Yeah, there's something about being in an audience with someone as they're experiencing the same thing, and everybody, you just feel it a lot different. It just hits different when you're in something like
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Well, Jenny, congratulations, on getting this here, and for all of these people who are going to have their stories told and their films shown, and all that hard work that goes into that, to bring it here and to give it a place to show on a stage with other people enjoying it too, and bringing that community together. It's just amazing work. Anything else that you think is important for people to know?
Oh my gosh. I mean, first off, I want to say that there have been girls and women athletes for generations. And, you know, this is our opportunity to tell those stories, and the stories of today and the stories of tomorrow, and the work of these filmmakers, producers who've always believed in the vision and the visibility and the value of these athletes, and that hard work. On top of that, the dozens and dozens of people who've helped to create the IWSFF so that we can launch this 3-day festival has all happened kind of in the backdrop. So I cannot thank everybody enough for all of their hard work and dedication, from filmmakers, athletes, the folks who flew in to be a part of this with us, and all of the people here, just working their tails off to make an exceptional event. And this is like, as one of the founders, it's incredible to see the community pull together and put in so much time, effort, love, and passion for something that we kind of daydreamed on the back of a napkin. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we're thrilled. And, for Kate Delhagen to be recognized today as the visionary behind, this idea of just like, what about a film festival? And that just being like the spark. And now we're here today. So what a joy for us to be here. Like, I'm just thrilled.
I love that. Yeah, and that
Yeah,
analogy, it's a napkin to now, boom, you've got people flying in
yep,
from around the world for this. So
exactly.
that's awesome. Well, Jay,
Yes.
thank you so much for some time here today to talk to us here on Fox 12 Now. Just congratulations on all the success, the perfect timing for this. It is the epicenter of women's sports, and so much happening, and it's going to
You
be a great
bet. And we
weekend.
still have plenty of tickets for the weekend. So come Saturday, Sunday, bring your family. It's all ages. We're going to have just a great time. There's food, drinks. The bra will be here. We've got everybody. It's going to be a fun time.